Okay, this is Eric Olson. Welcome to session 8. We're getting better at this, so I just want to report that we've actually started this class at like 12 minutes after the hour, which is pretty much a record for us, I think, as far as getting things going. So we've got our guest speakers online, but I'm going to throw up a few slides before we get started with that. I want to point out to our admin some admin issues. One is we've got your 10 tool stuff in. We're going to have those graded by 5 p.m. Thursday. Pretty much Laura's going to take care of some of that during the class today, and the bulk of those will be graded before you leave today. There is a hobnob this Friday, in case you haven't been to a hobnob yet, and that's pretty much everybody. But this hobnob this time is not going to be at my house. It's actually going to be at one of my neighbor's houses. So if you want to come to see what my neighbor's house looks like, for a hobnob, you're welcome to come to that. I will get that message forwarded out to you probably later today. It's already out, but I forgot to forward it to you guys. Also want to announce another assignment that's due. So this is your Quickie Kaizen. So the Quickie Kaizen, it's on PolyLearn. You can take a look at what that assignment looks like. Kaizen, continuous improvement. Quickie is the English word for fast. All right, so we do a little fast, little Kaizen. What I want you to focus this Quickie Kaizen on is I want you to focus it on more steam. All right, so you guys have been doing things with more steam. You've done their online training. You've been working on engine room. Some of those things need to be improved and fixed. You guys are the users. We're going to give more steam some feedback. So what you'll do is you go ahead and electronically turn in this Quickie Kaizen. It's essentially suggestions for improvement. And then we'll summarize those somehow. We'll send those off to more steam so that they can keep on getting better. All right? Any questions about the Quickie Kaizen? It's due at the end of week 8. This is week 7. So not this Sunday, but a week from Sunday is when that's due. All right? Okay, good deal. I'm going to go ahead and advance slides here. So here we are in the class. So we're talking about session 8. You guys are doing session 9 online. We're now into the analyze phase. Let's go ahead and advance one more. I'm going to move this chair before I trip over it too many times here. Let's go diving right over it. So here's our dashboard. Things are looking pretty good. You guys got a little bit of a downward trend going. One thing we learned about control joints, control charts, 6 points either increasing or decreasing is an unusual, condition. Doesn't happen necessarily randomly very often. So we've got 1, 2, 3, and sort of a downward trend. So you guys go 3 more down, and I'm going to have to say, stop, wait a minute, what's going on, right? So we're watching that. On-time performance looking pretty good. Production rate, had a little bit of a rest week here. You guys got 2 high weeks coming up, just so you're ready and prepared to do that. A lot of the statistical analysis stuff, so if you guys are kind of not remembering your statistics real well, all that stuff about hypothesis testing and whatnot to learn, this is going to take you back through that. So be prepared to get on board with that. All right? So that's where we are with the dashboard. Let me give you some tips and tricks. If you haven't noticed it, there's a really huge button on the left-hand side of your more steam panel called the Adair map. You can go ahead and click on that. That gives you, essentially takes you through each step of the domain process and gives you what some key questions might be for that particular process step. The other nice thing about this button, and I probably should have given you this heads up a little bit earlier since you've already done your sort of 10 tools plan, but it also gives you a tooltip for each one of these questions. So if you're trying to figure out, are the input processes stable and capable, you click on that tooltip, it'll probably take you to a CPK analysis or something in order to point you in the right direction. Okay? So there's tips and tricks. And with that, I am going to now stop sharing my screen and switch over to my our guest speaker. So I'm going to do a little introduction. And the way we're going to do this guest speaker is a process or an approach we call celebrity interview. So I talked to Nathan a little bit. I gave him the option of presenting slides. He said, nah, slides are for sissies. We're just going to go ahead and talk about lean and let you guys share in the conversation a little bit. But Nathan Adair, he's from Frudenberg Medical. Hopefully I got that semi-correct. But it's down in Carpinteria, California. He's the assistant growth manager, and I'll let him explain maybe a little bit about what growth is in the Frudenberg medical context. Nathan and I met as part of the Central Coast Lean community. I think his boss one time was actually coming down here to present to a class, and Nathan tagged along. It turns out he has an affinity for doing the same sort of things, talking about lean. We also reconnected on a tour later on, and we're down in Carpinteria. So I was real happy to have Nathan. He's talked to this class several times in the past. He's got some really good ideas, but this is a little different format for us, so we're gonna go ahead and try this. So Nathan, welcome to our IT303 Lean Six Sigma class. So first off, Nathan, I'm going to ask you a question. I've shared with the class a little bit when we first started what my personal lean journey was, and I know you've got a place where lean started for you, and maybe you can sort of describe a little bit about what your lean journey is.
Yeah, sure. So for me, the overall journey was I encountered it during an internship a long time ago, and pretty much I thought it was a giant load of BS. I wasn't too into it. After working for a different company, I started to think that there might be a bit of truth to it. And then finally, when I came on with Freudenberg, my mentor was he was in charge of the whole lean program. And so I kind of started to do it just as kind of a way to suck up to him. And I'm just being honest with you. The more that I did it, though, the more that I started to realize that there's nothing really quite like lean. And it really applies to every single situation, no matter what role you're going to work in the world, and no matter what you're going to be producing, lean is going to help you do it better. So as I went on that journey, that's when I became very adamant about getting my different certifications, and then realizing that really I wanted to be in charge of the program for my plant. And a little bit of backstory, since you asked about what is growth, it's our name for lean, basically. It stands for Get Rid of Waste Through Team Harmony. There's a couple things that we do differently from other plants. In particular, my role is just to facilitate the Kaizen events. So I speak with the other managers, and then they say, we're having a lot of trouble in blah, blah, blah area. And then I go out, I investigate it with the lean tools. And then finally I tell them about what I think we're looking at, and we decide on a team to assign to it. And then I teach that team the tools. They go out, they use the tools, they analyze, and they come back and they tell me what they want to do. And then I just assist in them getting it done.
Okay, excellent. Hey, so why did Freudenberg, jump on the lean bandwagon? What was in it for them?
The main reason why they started to do it was because they were having it was back in the 80s, and they were having a lot of trouble. They were also, our parent company, Freudenberg, they make a lot of sealing O-rings. So a lot of that was in the automotive industry, and they found that their customers just weren't happy with them, and their profit margins weren't where they wanted. but they had this kind of tap into automotive. So they eventually heard about lean and they started using it. And over the next 20 plus years, they became one of the leading experts in it.
Okay, cool. So here's some fun questions now. So what's your favorite lean tool? Or another way to ask that question is like, what's your go-to tool when you're working with these groups that are doing their kaizens and things? Do you have a certain tool that you tend to favor or like?
Yeah, I'd say my favorite tool for prepping for a Kaizen event would be Pareto diagrams, because there's just so often I find that people want to go off in every which way and they want to work on everything. And the Pareto just really helps to just hone in and just say, this is the problem, and you only work on one thing. And then when actually in the midst of a Kaizen event, we use what's called a ABCD prioritization matrix. So we rate things based on how effective are they going to be and how easy will they be to implement. And that's always really useful for when you've got your team is starting to really butt heads and it's becoming a bit of an ego-driven and pride thing of, well, I really want to do this. All of a sudden with an ABCD tool, you have people shooting down their own ideas, and the team really becomes focused on, this is what we're going to do, and we are going to ignore these other ideas because the time isn't right.
So your ABCD tool, so I've always learned that as an impact effort matrix.
Yeah.
So you've got like, how big is the impact versus how much effort does it take to apply? And we actually just did that at Cal Poly. We're working on trying to fix some issues within the College of Business, and we had people rate about 36 different issues with regards to what they thought the impact was and what the effort might be to implement it. But so the ABCD, so can you tell me like what those quadrants are? Is the A the high impact, low effort? Is that what an A is?
Yes. Yeah, so A is high impact, low effort. And then this is where a lot of people get very confused. And if you're doing one, you need to involve someone like myself or Eric who has a bit more experience. A B is low impact, or a B is low impact, low effort. Because if it's low impact, then it's not as important as your high impact. But if it's low effort, you might as well just do it anyways. A C is high impact, high effort. And then a D is low impact, low effort, or low impact, high effort.
Yeah, so those are just stuff you just don't even do, right?
What's that?
Yeah, you just don't even do the Ds, or you try to stop people from doing the Ds, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, oftentimes when we do it, we only do the A's. And the idea is just that in the next Kaizen event, your B's are going to be your A's and your C's are going to be your B's. If you've taken care of everything, they'll all just kind of move up the chain. So, I mean, it's very rare that we do stuff besides A's.
Yeah, excellent. So so now what I want you to do is think back on your best lean success story. So you get to brag a little bit at this point, Nathan, like thinking back of your different experiences, what's your best lean success story?
I kind of feel like I'm in the middle of my best lean success story.
Share that then.
It's always gonna, I feel like it's always gonna be culture. The lean tools aren't exactly hard to use, but just naturally as humans, we don't want to. We resist what is new, and we don't always really want to look at ourselves that way and to be held accountable that way. So it's always the culture change. I've been working a lot with the supervisor in our molding department in order to implement daily tracking boards at all of the machines. And it's been really amazing over the past year to see her go from someone who she would just not update her board for a week. And I mean, now she updates it every single day, and it's actually really rare for her to miss an update. And the outputs that are coming out of that is that now she's responding to stuff quicker and quicker. And it's like some of the machines, and yes, I understand that it's a waste, but some of the machines are working on stuff like 3 months in the future now instead of 3 months in the past. It's amazing how much we've been able to catch up because of that. And it's just had a lot of effects on all of our departments and everything.
So yeah, so you mentioned that waste. So it sounds like we're heading into overproduction land. So have you had sort of the talk with this this person, or what's the feeling on that?
Yeah, luckily her direct manager has a lot of lean experience, so he is well aware of what's going on, and the only reason we're doing it is because we're making space for our engineering team. We have some massive validations coming through, and I mean, if we could give the engineering team a month straight on the machines, then they would take it. So that's really the only reason that he's allowing that overproduction to happen. Otherwise, if there wasn't that extra need floating out there, then otherwise he would shut the machine down, and he would say it's time to reassign workers to another location or something else.
Right. Excellent. All right. So now I'm going to go in the other direction. So what was your most spectacular failure, or maybe you could positively phrase that as best learning experience?
I think it's often been whenever I'm going into a project and it's me thinking about what can we do here. So it's just me kind of performing lean for the sake of doing lean. So there's one case in particular where someone contacted me and they said, "Oh, we need an assembly fixture over here, and we need it to be poka-yoked." So I looked at it, and we did like a really high level in the details of event about how to get this as poka-yoked as possible, and it came out to we're gonna.
Can I interrupt you for a second? So.
Yeah.
So we haven't got to the poka-yoke section in the materials online yet. Want to give
Sure.
a quick thumbnail?
Yeah, it's just error proofing. Just making it so in this particular case, we were very worried about non-assembled parts getting. There's like two pieces. We were worried about one piece getting into a final package rather than the two pieces. So it's just error proofing to ensure that you actually get the two pieces. Oftentimes, like there might be a physical poka-yoke where a part has to pass through a certain area, and if the right triggers don't go off, sensing that the part was there, then the machine shuts down. Stuff like that. But so we were working on it, and we made a really expensive fixture to poka-yoke this, and it was later that I found out that the estimated sales was something like 100 a year. So we were very dissatisfied, and we realized that we had pretty much wasted a whole 2 days of everyone's time because it just wasn't worth the money. And it was all because I was just doing it just because I wanted to do it.
It's fun, right?
Yeah.
So now I'm going to ask you to a little bit of travel back in time. So we've got a lot of people here that are just starting out on their lean journeys. What would you go back and tell your young self as you were just starting out on your lean journey? What piece of advice?
I think the biggest thing that I notice during lean is, especially as someone with an engineering degree, I can get very caught up in looking good and avoiding looking bad. So in particular, I related looking good with getting my ideas implemented on the floor. But I'm not the person who knows the process the best. So if I could go talk to myself, it would really be to explain, you know, the people who are going to live with this process and the people who know the process the best are the ones actually performing it. And your ideas, they may not take into account stuff that they know about. So your job really needs to be all about working with that person and pulling out of them what do they have the biggest difficulties with, and then you fix it for them. It's a lot more like a service job than a bossing job.
Yeah.
I think that's especially hard for young engineers to get, and old engineers. We have a couple old engineers that can't learn that.
Yeah. It's hard to not let your ideas, you know, always be sort of the thing that wins, right? So we always think that, you know, we win if it's our idea, but in winning a lot of times is having the people that are doing the work, you know, letting them win, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, Nathan, thank you for that. I'm going to now sort of switch it up. So we've had people here that are taking notes. And just so you know, Nathan, these guys have an assignment coming out of this lecture, and they're going to want to know, you know, what are the key points that the guest speaker made? How does it apply to the class or to Lean Six Sigma? And then maybe how they can apply some of the ideas they've heard about to their own mini projects that they have to do for this class. But at this point, I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to ask them to do a little self-reflection. So we're going to do a 1-2-all. So 1-2-all. What that means is 1 minute of self-reflection. I want you to think of a good question for Nathan that you'd like Nathan to answer. Then I've got 2 minutes where you're going to turn to somebody next to you and share that question, kind of vet it out. Right? And then I'm going to go around to the class and we'll collect like the index cards that your parent two want to sort of contribute. I'll have Laura collect those. We'll sort them out, and then we'll ask Nathan some questions off those index cards, all right? We're also going to ask the people online to participate. How many people online do we have?
We have around 8, 9. So we can
8,
do
9?
four breakout sessions.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll also have the online people participate. We're going to create 4 breakout sessions. Nathan, just so you know, one of the artifacts of having you sort of call into this Zoom session is you're probably going to get thrown into a breakout session because it's sort of an automatic feature.
Okay.
Figured out how to manually keep you out of it. So if you wind up talking to a student, just do the best you can, okay?
All right.
All right. So with that, I'm going to say we're going to stop recording at this point. I'm going to go to 1 minute and then 2 minutes, and then we'll start recording when we come back, okay? All right, 1 minute, silent reflection. Think of a good question.